And then I'm going to share my screen as well. So this is the Newbie Bloggers, and we're talking about how to create and monetize a blog post. And we go through the 6 steps twice a year. And so in July, guess what? We get to start from the top. So for those of you that are just coming on board, you'll get to hear from the very beginning how we come up with the system on how to actually get your blog launched and then how to monetize it. So in July, we're going to, which is today, we're going to talk about how to name your blog if you haven't started yet. And then I'm going to show you some quick tricks on how to get a blog post posted and out there and ready to go. In August, we're going to go to step 2, which is finding your platform. And we're going to talk a little bit about platforms today. Okay, Deb says she can't get on the blogging group.
I have trouble too.
And in what way, Sally?
It just took a long time to, launch it.
Okay.
And I tried several times, and then you popped up all of a sudden. So.
Well, and maybe I wasn't on yet because I didn't tap on until right at the last minute. So.
Yeah, usually it says that you're still waiting for the host to start the meeting. Usually get that, but
Yep, I don't see her now. So maybe she's coming on board. As folks jump in, I'm going to click the button to promote you to come up if you want to come up. Yep, I don't see her offhand again. So maybe she's in now. So anyway, so feel free to come up or stay, over in what we call the attendee section if you want to. It's up to you. So we were just going through that in July, we're talking about a blog name. In August, we're talking about what platform that you're going to put it on. And then in September, we talk about customizing it, making it your brand so that everything kind of, goes in line. Linda has her hand up, so maybe she's ready to come on up.
Ready to come up.
Okay. So I, there you go. So I clicked her through. And then in October, we talk about writing and publishing and maybe a fast track, how to get there. And so then in November, we talk about promoting. And then finally in December, we talk about monetizing. Now, what happens in these conversations is we kind of talk about all of it because it all goes together. But today we're focused on how do you come up with a name? And that's always a problem because folks always think too narrow. So I don't know about you, but in the past, when I've named something, I put limitations on myself. And my best example is back in my salon days, I decided to open a salon and I called it All About Nails because I was a nail tech. And so guess what? I realized rather quickly that once you have so many nail techs in there, there's only so many customers to go around. And when a customer comes in, there 6 nail techs are all looking at the customer going, well, which nail tech is this customer going to choose? And so finally, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if I could add hair or add some tanning or add some massage therapy? And then that same customer could get their hair done, get their nails done, buy a tanning package, get a massage. And all of a sudden that same customer is going to maybe 4 different technicians within the salon instead of just picking one. But I'd named the salon All About Nails. So I was like, now what do I do? So I had to go back and regroup, and this has happened to me a couple of times. So I've learned the hard way. So I had to go back and regroup, and I changed the name of the salon to All About You Salon Suites. And that way I could hire different stylists, technicians, massage therapists, whatever, and they would simply rent a suite from me. And all of a sudden we now had this thriving business because now whatever number of clients we did have was purchasing more than one service. And it was actually supplying income to more than one technician within the salon. And so I learned a hard lesson on that one. Is number one, when you go to name something, don't get too narrow. So you got to look at the bigger picture on where you think you're going and not what you think you are right at that moment. And the second thing is don't pick a name that nobody gets. And again, back in my salon days, when I bought my own building, my previous building that I had rented now, of course, was up for rent again. And I moved my salon and bought my own building. And of course, mine was called All About You Salon Suites. And so the word salon in there really made it clear to the public that we were a salon. And of course, the fact that it was all about you, the customer was like, oh, it's all about me, which it was. But now the new salon that went into the building that I had left, they decided to actually name their salon Carpe Diem, seize the day, Latin for seize the day, Carpe Diem. Now, most of us have heard that phrase, Carpe Diem. We may not remember what it means, but most of us have heard it. And many of us do remember that it's Latin for seize the day. But my customers would come into the salon and they would say, oh, I see a carpet store went in where you girls used to be. And I'm like, no, that's a salon. And they're like, what? What's Carpe Diem even mean? And so, customers didn't have a clue what that was. And a couple of them said, is that an art studio? What's Carpe Diem? Because women in the salon industry, women and men staff, when they go to own their own business, they're very creative. It's a very creative industry. I mean, that's what attracts most people to the salon industry. They just want to do hair and they want to do nails and it's all kind of on the artsy side. They're very artistic. And so they start coming up with all these fancy names because that's how their brain functions. And so I'm saying, if you're one of those artists, don't lose your artsy craft, but try to pick a name that everybody at least knows what you're talking about. If you drive down the street and you want to get your nails done, and the Asian salons, they have it down pat. If you drive down the street and you want to get your nails done, you look at any mall or any shopping center you drive by, and the sign says nails. You never have to wonder, can I get my nails done there? You never have to wonder what it is they do. And so when you're naming your blog, you have to come up with something that not only tells your audience that it's all about them, and that this is the lane that you're in, or lanes, depending on what it is that you want to name your salon, but then don't get too narrow, okay? So for those of you that are listening, here's the homework assignment. Write down every single thing that you want to talk about. Write down everything that you want to do, okay? And make a list. That you like hiking, you like biking, you like cooking, you like traveling, you like working on a computer, you like, depending on what your interests are, write all of that down. Okay. Now here's what I like to do. I like to let it, what I call, get cold. I like to leave that list overnight, walk away from it, think about other things, come back to it the next day and see if all of those things still resonate with me. Because on day 2, your job is to mark off stuff that you thought you were interested in that you really don't want to go forward. And here's a perfect example. And again, I'm using my salon as an example because most of you know that was my background, is the salon industry. And it makes a great example. Because when I decided to retire from doing nails, I did not want to talk a lot about nails because I decided to make a transition at that point. And so when I listed everything that I wanted to talk about, nails was not one of the things on my list. And the reason is because for me, I was going through this transition in my world where I wanted to have more freedom, and I didn't want to be tied down behind the nail table. I didn't want to have appointment every hour on the hour, 12 days a week, 12 hours a day and 6 days a week. I didn't want that lifestyle through my retirement. And so I thought, well, if I'm talking about nails and I'm doing nails and I'm teaching nails, I'm still going to be tied to that kind of a schedule. And I didn't want to be. So I drew a line through the nails. Even though I knew a lot about doing nails, I decided to draw a line through that one in my list because I did not want to add that to where I was headed. Okay. So that's the first thing. So list everything that you like, mark out what you don't. Even if you like it and you know a lot about it, it may not be what you want to focus on. So mark those things out. Now, that doesn't mean you can't change your mind later, and now that I'm, 4 years out, 5 years out from my retirement, I now have folks saying, you do know that you could add nails to your passive income list of things that you do, and it still could be passive and you wouldn't be stuck to that kind of a time frame by simply doing a course like a CEU course for nail techs that have to have their CEUs in order to renew their licenses. And so I am pursuing some of those things because that does fit my current model. So just don't think too small. And so now take a look at what you have left on your list and try to find a common theme in all of those things. Try to find a common thread in all of those things. Now, we all know that purchasing anything at all is an emotional experience. Most of us purchase something on an emotional level. When we decide that it's time for a new car, all of a sudden we see everything that's wrong with the old car. Now, the old car is probably fine, but once we decide we want a new car, that old car doesn't look very good anymore. We decide, well, we don't like this, and we don't like the color, we don't like how it feels when we ride in it, it doesn't run the way it used to, it's going to need some maintenance, and all of a sudden we find all these reasons why we really need to go get that new car, because it's an emotional type purchase. And so think about, once you make the list of everything that you want to do and where you want to head with your blog, think about what feeling do you get when you're thinking about all those things. What feeling do you want your audience to get when they look at all those things? What is the feeling? Okay, so think about that. So anyway, once I listed all the things that I like to do, and again, I was all about passive income. I was creating my passive income with real estate. So I love getting involved with the real estate community and rubbing elbows with, those investors and learning all I can about the real estate. And then I love to write. And I always said, and oftentimes, now listen to this one, oftentimes you'll have a dream recovered instead of a dream discovered. You'll start when you finally can relax and relax into your feelings. You'll think, I really do like writing. I've always said from a very early age that when I retire, I'm gonna write. And of course, then once I was in the nail salon, I didn't have time to write because I had a client every hour on the hour, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I didn't have time to write. And so then I thought, you know what? Let's get the writing back on the list. Well, what does writing and real estate have to do with each other? All of a sudden it's kind of like, well, this list isn't going so well because now I've got totally different directions. And so how am I going to put this all together into a blog post? So then I thought, okay, I'm going to leave writing on the list because I like to write. And I love the networking piece of being in business. And that was one of the things I was afraid I was going to miss, being in the salon. I got a lot of contact with a lot of folks throughout the week, and it went on week after week after year. And that became not only my business, but it became my income, and it became my social connections. These gals, they invited me to their weddings. They invited me, on picnics. I actually had a relationship with a lot of these clients. And so that it also became, my social outlet. And so when I was going to retire, I thought, wow, I want to keep that networking piece in there. So, I added that to my list, that I wanted to have, that connection. And then as I continued, thinking, I thought, you know what, I'm really retiring because I want better health. So now there's a fitness piece in there. So all of a sudden, I've got real estate, writing, networking, fitness. I thought, what in the world? How do these things all come together in one blog post? So then I had to start thinking, okay, what do I want to feel? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish in my retirement? What is it that I really, really, really want? What is it that I want? Well, what I really, really, really wanted is I wanted freedom, and I wanted enough cash in my bank account that I could have freedom, to do what I want when I want. If I want to bike or hike or write a book or go look at another piece of real estate, I didn't want to have to be tied down to a particular time slot and calendar. And like on Monday, I've got to be here, and Tuesday, I got to be there. And of course, our lives always have a little bit of that. We have to make doctor's appointments, and, we do have to, step up to the plate and make some of those type of calendar decisions. But I didn't want my life to be ruled by my calendar or by, you know, a time slot or a time clock. I didn't want to punch that time clock anymore. And so after really sitting with my list and trying to get the feeling out of my list, what do I want to feel? And so what do I want my audience to feel? Is I came, and Mark helped me with this. And Mark said, he said, you just want to go freestyle. And I said, okay, now we're on to something. I said, talk to me about that. And he goes, well, when you freestyle dance, he said, it's just whatever you want to do. He said, when you freestyle skate, when you freestyle ski, he said, so freestyle means that it's what you want, when you want, how you want, whenever you want. I said, okay, I like that. So we came up with the phrase freestyle living, because I could talk about fitness, I could talk about real estate, I could talk about writing, I could talk about networking, I could talk about all those things. And then the final piece of my puzzle was, I thought, you know what, once I'm out of the corporate America, I'm going to lose connection with technology. And I didn't want to lose that piece because, of course, I've got kids and grandkids and my 11-year-old grandson. I mean, everything is automated in his world. You know, I mean, that's just, it doesn't occur to him, you know, not to just click around and figure something out. And so, oh, did I freeze up for a second? Sorry about that. Linda said I froze up for a second. So I'm making her my co-host, and I'm going to make Sally a couple of folks in there. And that way, if for some reason my computer dumps me out, they can let me back in the room. So anyway, the younger generation is definitely going to be automated. That's just the way the world is going. And even for us, you know, with our bank cards and, you know, now you tap instead of, first of all, you had to swipe and then you had to insert the card. Now you just tap the card. And now we've got the wallets in our phones that we don't even need to carry the card. And so that's the way things are going. And I didn't want to lose that piece. I didn't want to be left behind. I know when I tried to work with my mom as she got older, yeah, you know, she couldn't even make a phone call on her cell phone. She kept waiting for the dial tone. I said, Mom, dial the number. And she goes, but I'm not getting the dial tone. And so for those of you that are of a different vintage, you know what I'm talking about. And so, you know, I didn't want to lose that piece of it. And so now I'm doing the Build a Better Business. And so I can get into the little bit. And again, I'm not a techie, but I can get into a little bit of the technology piece of it because we all need to stay in tune to some level of the technology. So that's me in a nutshell. And that's how I came up with the name of Freestyle Living. And so, of course, then that was the blog name. Then I had to go out and find the domain. And so when you go out and search for the domain, for those of you that are brand new, the domain and your platform are two different things. And a lot of folks confuse that. They go, well, you know, my domain and everything is all over here. Well, what happens is you can buy a domain and not actually connect it to a platform. You can have a domain. As a matter of fact, you can go out there and buy 10 domains. You can buy 20 domains. I have a friend, he's a domain addict. He can't help, but every time he finds a domain that he thinks is a clever word or a clever name, he buys it because his goal, and here's another whole business, his goal is to flip domain names. He buys all these domains and then he puts them back out for sale. So if somebody down the road is interested in buying that domain, they have to buy it from him. And he bought it for maybe $10 for the year. And they maybe now have to buy it for $50 for the year. And maybe he's got $10 invested and he's making $40 on reselling that domain. So he buys domains like crazy. And he's an addict. He can't help it. He loves it. You know, he keeps saying he's going to stop doing it. Next thing you know, he's got another $100 worth of domains in his portfolio because he loves doing it. He loves searching out these really clever domains. And so he grabs them. And so you can buy as many domains as you want. So even if you buy a domain and then later go, oh, it really needs to be this, like my All About Nails became All About You Salon Suites. Well, guess what? I had a website, All About Nails. I had to go back out and rebuy All About You Salon Suites. And then I had to connect that new domain over to my website. And so step one is coming up with a domain. So you can buy 1, 2, 10, whatever, you know, play around with some names, but buy a domain name. Then you have to decide what platform, which is for next month, we're going to talk about different platforms. You have to decide what platform that you're going to put your blog post on. Now, if you already have a website, your blog post, your first choice would probably be to just put your blog post right there on your website. You could just create a blog. There's a blog plugin. You just put it right on your website and there's your blog. But for those of you that maybe aren't very good at technology and you don't know anything about building a website and you go, oh, I just don't want to go that route. And again, we're not going to get too down in the weeds with platforms, but there's a ton of platforms out there that are kind of made for you. And they're called drag and drop or plug and play, where you just say, I like this template. I'm going to pop my name in there, that wonderful domain that you came up with. I'm going to pop my Freestyle Living name in there, and I'm just going to start popping my blog post in there and pop a little picture in there, and I'm done. And I'm not going to get into building websites and all that stuff. Well, a lot of those plug and play or drag and drop sites, they will let you buy your domain right there. If you sign up for a HostGator or a Wix or a Weebly or even GoDaddy, which is the kind of the grandfather of all domain names, they now have a website builder connected right inside of GoDaddy where you can build, you know, a little 2 or 3 page website right there. And all a blog platform is a little website. That's all it is. You only need about 3 pages. You need 1 to host your blog. You need 1 to tell about you, a little bit of a bio, if you will, and then a contact me page. And that's all you need to have a blog. Now, if you already have another business and you're already marketing your business on a website, then you can simply add your blog page right in on the website. So does that make sense to everybody? Is there any questions on how that works on getting a blog name, as far as deciding what you want it to be and then going out and buying that domain? Now, when you're clicking around and buying a domain, everybody's favorite is still .com. Now, if you are actually a nonprofit, you can use .org. And again, you can just research this. And if you are an educational institution and there's some criteria on what makes you an educational institution, then you could purchase .edu. But you have to make sure that you meet the criteria. So if you want to pick a different ending on your domain of the .com, .net, .co, .org, .edu, research what those mean, okay? Just put it out there in your search engine. You know, what does .co mean? What does .net mean? What does .org mean? What does .edu mean? And make sure that it fits you. Make sure that you're within the guidelines of what that ending means, okay? And but it doesn't matter. There's several out there that if the .com is already gone, then you could get the .net. And so that's what I did. The .com was already gone on mine, so I actually purchased the .net. So mine is freestyleliving.net, and which goes right in line with my email. My email is already kathybenner@sbcglobal.net, so that's fine. Now, I already had a website because I started putting some of my products and stuff together on a website, but I discovered that the website that I was using, because I'd been using it for years in the salon, so I just continued using it, and it did not have a very good blogging plugin. There was not a way to search, you know, for different articles or whatever. It just didn't have a very user-friendly plugin for blogging. So I actually went and searched right online and I said, what are the top 5 platforms for blogs? And of course the top 5 comes up when you search like that. And I went through and clicked on each one, looked around a little bit, and I settled on HostGator for mine. Now, that doesn't mean that that's where you need to go. You know, if you've got a nice plugin on the website that you're already using, that's probably going to be your first choice. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that with some of our members that are here. But I decided to use HostGator, and it's worked for me. And so I've used it ever since. Now, what I do is once I open up my HostGator, the public view, what my public would see, that's the URL that I copy. So anytime I want to market that or advertise that blog, that's the link, if you will. That's the URL that I always use. And we're going to even show a little bit about that. So anyway, before we move on, because I am going to show my screen just to give you an overview of where we're headed, I want to ask Sally, what is your experience? I know Sally is also using HostGator, but she also has a separate website. So Sally, what has been your experience with blogging and your website being on two separate platforms?
It's fine. It's fine because I usually put a link to my website on a blog post. I don't do the reverse, but oh no, it's there. It's on my website. I had a friend put it on, so I have a link both places.
Okay, so what you're saying is your website links out to your blog, but then your blog links back to your website.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, mine does too. And I'm going to show you how that works as well. Now, Linda, your blog plugin is right on the same platform as your website. Am I correct?
That's about the only thing we don't have on that platform is a blog plugin. So I'll be going aftermarket, so to speak. Yeah, third party.
Yep, I had to do the same thing. My website platform did not have it. It called it a blog plugin, but all it was a page to post a picture and an article, and there was no way you could search or put dates or topics or tags, as we call them. And it wasn't user friendly. So
yeah, you want that power. Yeah. There's one thing that I heard about from a friend that I thought might be okay to do in tandem with the blog hosting platform, similar to what Sally's doing with the website. But you could also publish articles on Medium. You could do it for free. And then you can ride that little wave too of people possibly finding you through their SEO. So it's just another way of people finding you. And as we've discussed in your blog articles, you're pointing back to your website, your course, your product, whatever it is. So I thought that would be worth bringing up. You can monetize there as well. But what I heard is that your material can't be published anywhere else. So I don't know how many of us would be keen on that.
Yeah, I get that. Absolutely. Yeah. So you have to kind of think ahead on where you're going with your blog post and how you want to monetize it, what you want to do. Now, for me, I have all of these free meetups. Then I have some courses that I've written. Remember, I wanted to write. So I have some courses that I've written. And then I have a mastermind membership group. And so I want to monetize my blog by pointing back to those products and services that I've created. So I had my website where I put those products and services. Then I went out to HostGator for my blog post. So on the website, when you scroll down my homepage to the blog and click on it, it takes the reader over to HostGator. Now, the reader doesn't even necessarily know they've left my website, because when we get to the part about customizing, I made it the same colors. And so it almost looks like they just went to another page on my website, even though I'm taking them clear out of my website over to HostGator. Then at the bottom of the blog article, I typed a sentence or a phrase, and then I highlighted it and hyperlinked it back to either the free meetup, the course, or the mastermind membership site. And so that way, like Sally did, it's a complete circle. So if they go to the website, it takes them over to the blog if they want to read a blog post. And then once they read a blog post, they can learn more or connect with a podcast or whatever, and it takes them back to the website. And so it just looks like they're moving around within my website, but we're taking them clear out and all the way back again. So hopefully that's helpful for some folks. Monica, how about you? Are you blogging already, and do you have a platform already? Yep, you're on mute. I don't know if I can ask you to unmute, but I don't think I can. There you are.
Okay. Unmuted some. Actually, I have started, but I don't know if I was hoping that that we could talk some about ChatGPT, but maybe that's for another time, because I have someone who's took over my blog, but it's coming from ChatGPT, and I'd wanted to get your ideas on that.
Well, ideas in what way? Like, should you use it? Should you not use it? I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, I don't feel like it has the emotion that I want. So I'm needing to take it over again, but I've been so busy. So
okay, now let me share with you about the chat. You can use it, and all you have to do, and it could be that whoever is doing this for you, it either doesn't know this or doesn't know what voice you want it to actually feel like. But you can go back and say, can you rewrite this with more emotion?
Okay.
And it will rewrite it with more emotion. Or can you rewrite this with dialogue? Or can you rewrite this? And you just have to tell. And this is where anybody that's using the chat, the artificial intelligence option, you get to tell it what voice you want it to write in. So for those of you that have not tried it yet, you can actually play around with it, and it's a free account, and you can play around with it, and then you can ask it to write in more emotion. So as a matter of fact, that's right in line with what I'm going to show you today. And so bear with me here while I share, and let me get back to it. Okay, this is what my HostGator looks like, what I call back of the house. And Sally will know this looks familiar to her because this is what hers looks like as well. And I just wrote this article today, and I did get the template out of chat. So Monica, this is perfect timing. Okay. So what I did is, this is my chat right here. And what you see highlighted was the article that chat wrote for me. Now up here in the URL, you can see it's chat.openai.com. So for those of you that are listening, if you are interested in checking it out, that's what you want to sign up for there, chat.openai.com. And so I can tell it here to just regenerate this, and it's going to keep regenerating it in the same voice. And so I wrote an article and kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but I just said, can you write a blog post about metabolic confusion, EPOC, and HIIT workouts in layman's terms so that a beginner can understand? So you see, I told it that I wanted it in layman's terms so that a beginner could understand it. But it wrote the article kind of technical, not necessarily, but not with a lot of emotion. Okay, it just wrote the facts. This is the article. Okay, are you with me? Now you can copy and paste this and your blog post is done. So having time is no longer an excuse. I don't have time to write a blog, because your chat can actually write the blog, and then you can personalize it from there. Okay, does that make sense? So now I can say down here, can you rewrite this blog post with more emotion and feeling? And let me see, what else do I want to say? Giving the reader what I want to give the reader.
A feeling of hope, or a feeling of inspiration, or
okay, a feeling of inspiration.
Or like they can do it. Because
all right. So that's what I said. Now let's just take a look, and we're not going to break down the whole thing, but we'll just look at a paragraph. So here is the first version. Embarking on a fitness journey can feel overwhelming, especially with all the buzzwords and complex concepts floating around. And this beginner's guide will dive into the fascinating world of metabolic confusion, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, and high-intensity interval training workouts. But fear not, we'll break down these concepts in simple terms. So you see where it's kind of just giving you the information, but not with a lot of feeling. So now let's click this little arrow. It is now doing its thing. I scroll to the bottom. Here it is. Here's where I said, can you write it? And here's where it is. So embarking on a fitness journey is a thrilling endeavor that holds the promise of transforming your life. in this awe-inspiring guide, you see where it changed the words. We'll unravel the secrets of the metabolic confusion, the excess post-exercise, the high intensity. Get ready to ignite your inner fire as we break down these concepts, infusing you with motivation and empowering you to achieve extraordinary results. So you see where it hit more on the emotion of the reader, whereas the first one up here is just kind of giving you the definition of what all that is. You see where it changed the phrase? So now we've got a little bit of a different article. So it's take a deep breath, feel the energy coursing through your veins. See, it's entering more into the emotion and the feeling of the reader instead of just giving you the facts on what all of that is. Does that make sense? So now I can say, and you can keep going with this forever. Can you rewrite this blog post with the same feeling and emotion, but with some dialogue? And hit the button, and let's see what it does. This is how fast it writes it. So now it's saying, picture yourself at the start line of a transformative fitness journey where the potential for greatness resides within you. See, it's the same emotion, the same inspiration. Today, we embark on an awe-inspiring adventure together, uncovering the secrets of the topics. See, it goes through all of it. And now in a gym, Sarah and Mark engage in a conversation. Sarah, have you heard about this thing? Mark, sounds intriguing. What's it all about? You see where it almost looks like now you're interviewing somebody. So now you could even put in here that Sarah is you doing this interview and that you're interviewing Linda. Okay, you see where you can make it anything you want. And that's the whole point of the chat, is that you can make it anything you want it to be. See? Is that helpful at all, Monica, to see how you can adjust it?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, that's just what I wanted to show you on the chat. So you take whatever, the chat's a fast way to get the template. You can make it whatever you want it to be. You can pop this over into a Word document and you can put in your own company names and your own product names and services, and you can make this as personal as you want it to be. But it does give you that start template so that you're not staring at the blank page when you're blogging. Okay, does that help? And then you go to your platform, and I'm using HostGator. So then you go to your platform and you put in a picture, and I created this title, let's take it up a notch and let's get HIT together, using the HIT as in the article. Then I made my tags. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a minute. So this is how people might search for it. And we're not going to get into this too much today on writing and publishing, but when you're ready to publish, try to enter the conversation in your reader's mind. And if a reader finds this article, what might they be searching for? How to lose weight? Is there some workouts I could do? How do I have better health? How do I lose the tummy fat? How do I get more energy? Those are the things they're going to be searching for, and you want your article to come up. So this is how folks would search. That's what you want to put in your tags, was what's the conversation going on in your reader's mind. And then your article, and again, you can make it as emotional, full of dialogue, whatever you want to make it. And then you're ready to publish. And then when you publish, this is what it looks like on the other end as far as a published article. Okay, this is what it looks like. Oh, I'm going to show you one more thing. When you're back here at the very bottom of the article, I'm scrolling to the bottom, here's where I have a podcast called Fit as a Fiddle Plus. And what I did is I highlighted this, and let me move our words here. I highlighted that and I came up here to this link, and I linked directly over to my podcast. Then I highlighted the schedule of events and I linked directly over to my schedule. And then I highlighted learn more about Kathy, and I linked to go to learn more about me on my website. So this
Kathy,
is what
I have a question about that, because for some reason, I couldn't, in my last blog post I did, I couldn't do the link for my website. It didn't take it to the website. So I just put my website in and highlight it, right?
Well, what you do is when you're over here, you have to, first of all, you have to open up here in a tab, open up the website you want it to go to.
Oh.
So for example, if I put in my academy, this right here, you see where I'm highlighting that?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want it to go. So when I come back over here to my HostGator to learn more about Kathy, when I open up this link, that's where I want it to go. So I have to paste in, I want it to go to that URL, and that's where I drop this URL that I copied over here. You're just going to do a copy and paste. So you copy where you want it to go, then you go over here to link it and you paste that link in there and you save it. So then when somebody lands on your blog and they go, oh, let's read this one, and they click on it, see if it'll open here, and they go, oh, okay, now this is what it looks like when somebody is actually reading it. See, here's all your tags. They can say, oh, let's look at fitness, let's look at healing, let's look at weight loss. See, they can click on, see, all your tags are all interchangeable here, and it's all built in with HostGator. And so once they click and your article comes up and they click on the article and they read down through the article or down through your blog post, there is the links. And so now when you click on that one, guess what? It takes them right to this page.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So questions. Anybody have questions? Yes, Monica.
So I was seeing, I don't know where I saw it, but probably on YouTube. Is Google allowing AI stuff to go through? And is it SEO friendly?
Google cannot tell the difference at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
Google
right.
can't tell the difference. Now I want to save this if I can find my save button. I put my stuff a little closer together and it may not let me save it here because I'm sharing my screen. So it's not going to, oh, there it is. Save the post. I noticed it when I came over here on my home screen that it wrapped this last sentence around. So I put them closer together in here so that it didn't wrap this link. So anyway, I was just fixing my blog as we were talking. Google can't tell the difference right now. The search engines can't really tell the difference. And you see here on my page where it says, check my paper for plagiarism. And see if it'll let me open it.
Would that be the same kind of plagiarism detector I used as a teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to take your article that chat wrote for you, and you're going to make it yours. You're going to add your own products and services in there or wherever you want to send folks. You're going to make it more emotional if you want it more emotional. You're going to make it with dialogue if you want it dialogue. You're going to do all of the things until you get it the way you want it. And then you're going to put it over into a site, and it's not coming up. It's just spinning up here because I think I have too many windows opened up. But then you're just going to check it like you would a teacher. You're going to check it, and you're going to make sure that it's your own. See, at that point, it'll show you if any of those phrases, because remember, Chat GPT is going out on all the information that's out there and getting information. And so it may pick up a paragraph or a phrase from another blog post. You see where I'm going with that? And dump it into your answer. And so you always, if you're going to use chat, always then put it back over into a plagiarizing program to double check it to make sure it didn't steal a paragraph from some famous author somewhere where you could get in trouble for stealing their work. And always double check it. Now, I've double checked for the past, I just started using chat in the past month or so, and I started checking every single time I use it. And I've had 100% original every single time. And so then there are ways that you can look at what people are searching for. And there's Google Trends. for those of you that maybe may or may not have used Google Trends. And AN has their hand up. If you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the chat, and we'll answer your question for you. It says, do you offer coaching? Yes, I do. Yeah, go again to the kathybender.com and scroll down to the membership site, and that's where we do the mastermind coaching. But anyway, as you use chat, and I just started, it gives me 100% each time. And then you can go over to Google Trends and you can say, for example, my article, I can say, are people searching for how to lose weight? Are they searching for how to get fit? Or are they, what is the top things they're searching for? And once I determine those, then I can go over and put those into the first paragraph of my blog post on what folks are actually asking for. And again, you try to enter the conversation in your client's mind instead of making them enter the one in your mind. I could get all technical about, the intensive training, but unless it's some workout buff, the average person probably isn't going to find that. They're not going to click on that blog post because it's not speaking to them. The gals that I want to reach are like, how do I lose weight? I'm on this, every time I diet, it all comes back and I can't seem to keep it off. And what am I doing wrong? And so I need to put in words that they would search for. And so Google Trends is where I find out how they're searching. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you offer coaching? Yes, I do. Okay. Connection to the internet content was cut off as of 2021. Okay. Linda, let's talk about that.
Okay. So the ChatGPT doesn't have like a roving eye going all over the internet and knowing what's what. So like if you asked it who won the baseball game last night, it doesn't know. So for its programming and learning purposes, I believe its data set ended with the internet as of fall of 2021. So just kind of know that so that you're not counting on it to have the latest info on all the things.
Good to know. Good to know. Does everybody understand what that means? That it's searching up to that date for whatever you're asking it to write about?
That's all it knows. Yeah.
Yeah. To fall. So the content was cut off as of the fall of, or you think around in 2021. So anything that's come up in 2022 or 2023, it wouldn't have that most recent answer. But it's a great way to get a template. Again, don't use it to write your stuff. Use it as a tool if you need to have a template so that you kind of have a format, So now the article that it wrote for me I popped it over into my blog because I wanted to show it to everybody today, but that's too mechanical. That doesn't really speak to my audience. So I will go back and I will go in and personally, I will make it my own and write it in a little softer language and a little more emotion and all those things that I want to add into the blog post. So it's a great tool, but don't have it just do your writing for you. Does that make sense? All right. Any other questions? Anyone else? And now I'm going to see if anybody else wants to come up. I know some folks declined, but if anybody else that's over in the participants want to come up, if you have any, it says, do you offer coaching? I've started my blog platform. Okay. We answered that one in the chat. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so I want to ask everybody, what was your big aha moment today? And again, some of the folks in the audience are declining. They're probably just listening in, and I get that. But I want to make an offer. Make sure you know you're welcome to come up if you have a question. So any big aha moments today?
Well, the chat was, I had no idea it could do that. So I'm glad you had that question, Monica.
Yeah, well, and again,
Very
you can just keep asking it to rewrite. I mean, you can just go on forever. You can say rewrite it with the name George instead of Sarah, and rewrite it with, I mean, you can just continually keep asking it to modify. And sometimes it'll go off the rails because you've asked it a question and it does what it thinks you ask it to do. And so what happens if you're going to use the chat, you'll get better at the prompts you give it to get the result that you're looking for. Does that make sense? You'll be better at the prompts. You get better at the prompts, and then it gets better at the results because it's strictly, it only knows what you've asked it to do, and it'll do exactly what you ask it to do. So you have to be very precise on what you want it to do. And also, and again, it says, hi, could you share their link again? Any coaching info? Yeah, just go to kathybinner.com. and then scroll down to the mastermind groups. And you want to click through on the blogging one. And yes, thank you for that. So to find that. So I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to go back to the chat if it'll let me. Yeah, see, it's still spinning here. Yeah, I think I've got too many windows open. It's not letting me now. So am I freezing up or am I still good?
You're still good.
Yeah, okay. So anyhow, my actual Windows is starting to freeze up because I think I've got too many tabs open. Anyway, Sally, what it is, when you go to the chat, you can open, and I was going to show you that, but there's a menu on the left and you can open a new chat. And so let's say that I want to talk all about health and fitness. I can open up a chat and ask it a question about health and fitness, and it'll give me some answers. And it'll save that heading of health and fitness. Well, then maybe tomorrow I want to write about, I don't know, maybe I want to write about real estate. I can open up a new chat and ask it a question about real estate, and it'll save that chat. Well, let's say 3 days later, I want to go back to the health and fitness. I don't have to, and here's the beautiful thing. I don't have to teach chat what voice I want to write in if I've managed to get chat to write in the voice that I want in health and fitness. If I reopen that same chat that I did 3 days ago and now say, write another, it'll automatically put it into the voice that I ended up in 3 days ago. I don't have to start from scratch every time. Does that make sense? And so if I want to write about real estate at a beginner's level, and I can say, can you explain, how to get a mortgage for a beginner, a newbie that's never done this before, and it writes it in beginner's level, then, and I save that real estate thread, that chat, and I go back to that 5 days later, 10 days later, a month later, it will write it beginner's level because that's where I left it the last time it wrote. So it'll save that for you. So that's kind of fun. So that was Sally's big aha. Any other ahas today? This has been a lot of fun. And you have your names kind of picked out? I know Sally does because she's already blogging. I have mine as Freestyle Living. I know Linda has hers. Linda, tell us about yours real quick.
Mine is called I Choose Abundance. And so I can cover financial freedom, abundant living, better relationships, impact, legacy, and it opens up all kinds. And, living more simply by using technology well, it opens up all kinds of avenues, just like what Kathy has done in hers.
Okay, Monica, what are your thoughts? Do you have a name yet?
No, I don't really. I'm toying with it, but my theme is narcissistic abuse recovery. But my website is called Reclaiming Yourself Now. So, and it's mostly about covert narcissism. So, no, I don't have one picked out yet. Well, I did ask ChatGPT for some ideas, though.
Yep, you can do that. You can do that. Or you could use your website name as your blog name as well. And that would direct everybody back to that. Sally's is Embrace the Unexpected. So I love that. And Sally is a travel agent. And so you can imagine if you're out there traveling about embracing the unexpected. If you've watched the news lately. Go ahead, Sally.
I said every single time.
Yeah, I tell you, we were watching the news here just a couple of days ago, and we saw, you know, leading up to the 4th of July weekend, all those flights because of the storms that got canceled, and people were just stranded and crying. And, you know, and I'm like, you know what? Being retired is such a wonderful thing because I don't have the pressure that I have to be back because I have to punch that time clock. And it's just so refreshing that I can embrace the unexpected. And again, it goes right in line with my freestyle living, you know. If we don't get back, oh, well, it's okay. And because I have passive income, I don't have to get back to do anything to make the money because the money is passive and it comes into my bank account, whether I do anything or not. Now, do I have to manage it? Absolutely. Because I have rental properties and I do all my own management, but I can do it from anywhere in the world because that was my decision. I wanted to be able to manage whatever I'm doing from anywhere in the world. As long as I've got my smartphone, I'm good. I can even do a Zoom call as long as I've got a Wi-Fi, I can tap in from anywhere in the world. So again, you can create the lifestyle that you want. And that's part of this blog is here's what the final thought that I want to leave you with is not only are you helping and teaching your audience, but you will be a different person at the other end of the blogs that you write. You will become a different person with the blogs that you write. And that's the journey that I want you to embrace. That's the embrace the unexpected that I want you to embrace, that you will actually become a different person and you'll become a better person. You'll become that person that you want to be. The question, is it Vinu? Am I saying that correctly? Can you create a blog on Facebook or Instagram? You can, but boy, if the site goes down, remember when Facebook disappeared for like 3 days, everybody panicked? If you're going to use that as your blogging platform, be sure that you save your blog post somewhere in a Word document or somewhere else so that you have a backup. And so the problem with that is it's hard to search. And oftentimes, and we all know this, if you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, and once that thread disappears, 3 posts later, you're forgotten, you know, because the dancing monkey came up and everybody's now, you know, looking at that instead. And they've totally forgot about your Facebook post or your Instagram post. So I recommend that you put it on an actual blogging platform and then take that URL and post that URL over on Facebook or Instagram. So when someone clicks, and we're going to get into that later when we talk about writing and publishing, I'll show you how to do that. And when someone clicks, it takes them back over to your blogging platform where you can capture their email address. And then that way you create your own list of potential clients. So the answer is yes, you can blog there, but I don't recommend it to be your only place. Yeah, so a blogging platform like mine, it can be any website as long as you have a blogging plugin. And so again, some websites are more beneficial for blogging than others. And so I, again, chose HostGator. That doesn't mean you have to choose HostGator. Wix is good. Weebly is good. Your own website, if it has a nice blogging plugin, is also good. So it's whatever you're comfortable using. And again, get in touch with me, KathyBenner.com. Go to the contact page. There's a place where you can have a chat with me if you want for 30 minutes. There's a place where I have office hours you can tap through on. If you have one-on-one questions you have for me, get in touch with me. I'll help you out. I'll answer your questions for you because I would love to see everyone be successful at this. You know, the tide rises all the ships. And this is one of the ways that I like to give back is I want everybody to live their best life. And this is one of the ways you can do that, because not only are you helping, I'll call it your tribe, because once you start putting yourself out there, your tribe will find you. Your folks that love you will keep tapping in and they'll want to know more. But you're going to be growing and changing as well. So you will be a different person as you go down this journey. You'll become the person that you really want to be. You'll be a better person. The best way to learn something is to teach it. And so when you start blogging and you start telling folks, you know, information, you know, it goes both ways. You're learning it. It goes back to the story, and I've got one quick story before we go. The father went to the priest, and he said, I need you to talk to my son to stop smoking. My son is smoking, and I don't want him to be a smoker, and I want you to go talk to him and tell him he needs to stop smoking. And the priest goes, I'll talk to him in 2 weeks. And the dad goes, 2 weeks? He goes, why can't you talk to him now? And the priest says, because I have to stop smoking first. So it will change you. Okay. So just know that as you're helping your tribe, it will change you. And that's a good thing. So with that, any last questions or comments? Again, tap into KathyBenner.com. There's some free meetups there. There's a way to chat with me if you want. Send me a message through the contact page, all different ways, however you want to connect with me, but connect with me. I'll be happy to help you out. So any last comments from anyone?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally. Thank you. Linda, thank you. Monica, thank you. Vina, thank you for being on. And we'll see everyone next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.